So, Starship Troopers, Chapter 4. This chapter has some interesting application for business and for any sort of a process that if you need people to eventually do a skilled task or a task where self-reliance is going to be very important. And what I mean by self-reliance is you need to make sure that for whatever reason, because you're going to be either one, putting this person in harm's way, or two, giving them great responsibility, you need to make sure that you're doing everything you can to select people who aren't going to quit when they still got something left in the tank. There's this old saying about mind over matter, and it's true, very much true to a point. It can be born into people in my experience. It can be learned in my experience. And I think it's a fact that it can definitely be unlocked. All of us can go a lot further physically, emotionally, than what we believe we can. Because all we can do is go on prior experience. Militaries do a good job of training it into people, specifically the United States military. Other militaries do an extremely good job too. The English, British military, which many of our doctrines are based off of, as well as the German military. Man, I wish I could do him the honor of mentioning his name. George Washington actually brought him over during Bunker Hill to train the troops. Anybody who knows that person, please let me know in the comments, and I'm happy to pin it. I'm ashamed that it's not at the tip of my tongue, but I do know George Washington. I visited him actually a few years back. He was, and this is a bit of an aside, I've been to Graceland, I've been other places, but when we went there, and I was standing in front of the remains, or what was supposed to be the remains of George Washington. It was I felt something. I didn't realize that. I don't know if it's my admiration of the person or everything was going together, because it was this big school Washington D.C. trip. But what he really did for our nation, we focus a lot on, and no, please, no offense to Sned, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this. I really hope you're watching this. We focus a lot on what he did as president, as a statesman, but if you look at what he did as a military leader, as a commander-in-chief, because he was the commander-in-chief before the president was actually considered the commander-in-chief, as a lieutenant colonel in, I believe, the Virginia militia, it could easily be argued that he started the process that eventually led to the I'm going to be respectful to Sned here, the rebellion of the colonies. Dude, I got to tell you a story about that. Remind me later on. We had some English foreign exchange students. No, I'll tell the story right now. We had some English foreign exchange students living with us for a few months. This was when I was a boy, much younger than I am now. And golly, how old must I have been? I would say possibly 13 years old. Everything was cool. Everything was nice. Had a lot in common, a lot of similar interests, and grow up different naturally. When we go on vacation here, we drive 30 minutes to the beach. When they go on vacation, they go to freaking Denmark or Morocco or Paris. And in one case, they all spoke at least two languages, like French and English. But we were just sitting around, and one of them, just offhand, I don't even remember what we were talking about, and he brings up, and you're George Washington, and boom, I drop. We're eating dinner, I dropped, and my parents did their best to raise me a gentleman. I dropped my fork and knife. And man, I still remember it. I still remember the anger. And my dad's like, okay, boys, stop right now. This conversation has ended. And it was quite striking. But that's on me. That was my weakness. If I had been smarter then, I might have learned something. Maybe I'd be further along right now. But back to George Washington and Valley Forge. I said Bunker Hill, I meant Valley Forge. And the training of those troops. Bunker Hill may have been the battle that inspired that, but Valley Forge and all that training and all that selection process and the refinement of those troops. Some didn't survive the winter. The training, I'm gonna guess some of them did not cut the mustard training wise, and were given other tasks. But at the end of it, he refined a fighting force that I believe changed the course of history. So chapter 4 of Starship Troopers, I think, talks about that process, and it gives us an insight into what it feels like from the trooper's point of view, the change that the individual feels as these things are happening to our hero in the story, Rico. Anyway, check it out. Another one of my favorite chapters, and I'm a little sad nobody asked me what my favorite chapter is yet, but when we get there, I'll tell you. All right, y'all. I'm enjoying making this series. I like it, and I've got a couple of very dear friends on here that I know they dig it too. So hopefully they're checking it out, and if not, I'll drive up to Maine and put it on my phone and make them watch it, like some old boomers sharing memes to each other. All right, y'all. See you in the next one.